I'm Carl. I'm supposed to enter as a novice.
We expected you sooner. Weren't you supposed to come here with your guardian? It's been so hectic lately, people will keep turning up out of the blue.
He gave me the papers and left me at the gate. You must be used to that, though. I'm not the first novice here, am I?
But that wasn't very considerate of him, was it? It's been so hectic here lately, novices arriving one after the other. The last one didn't even have a letter, and you'd think his backside was on fire, the way he kept looking over his shoulder.
You took him without the letter? You didn't find that suspicious?
My guess is he wanted to hide from someone, but he's a priest and knows how things work in the monastery, so there was nothing to prevent him from being accepted, at least temporarily. You're a different case, though. Are you able to read?
Naturally. I wouldn't be here otherwise.
So then, are you ready to enter the Order of Saint Benedict and renounce forever the temptations of this world?
I am.
Then you must rid yourself of all your worldly possessions. Sell them or give them to the poor and needy or donate them to the monastery. You may not enter this place burdened by worldly goods. Inside the gatehouse is a trunk in which you will find monk's robes. Put away all your possessions and dress yourself in the habit. Then you may rest a while I go and see the prior to arrange matters for your acceptance. God be with you. But better to save a few if I can and risk them all dying.
Strange feeling being without all of that. I didn't realise how much I'd grown used to it.
Everything's prepared. It's time for you to take your vows.
Do I really have to wear this?
You'd better get used to it. You'll be wearing it for the rest of your life.
Brothers in Christ, we have gathered here today to welcome a new novice into our midst. Dear brother, forget your former life and embrace your new vocation in the community of the monks of St. Benedict. Opus Dei, obedientia, obprobria, the service of God, obedience, and endurance of all discomfort. These are the cornerstones and succor of our order, which on this day shall become your own. Suscipe me, Domine, secundum eloquium tuum et vivam, et non confundas me ab expectatione mea.
Suscipe me, Domine, secundum in loquium tuum vivam, et non confundas me ab expectatione mea.
Accept your new name, Brother Gregor, and wear it with honor. Welcome, brother.
Welcome, brother. I am Antonius, a novice like you. I've been instructed to guide you around the monastery and tell you what you can expect and what your duties will be.
Thanks for helping me out during the ceremony. I had no idea what I was supposed to do.
You don't know Latin, do you? Don't worry. Work in the scriptorium will teach you fast enough. Why exactly are you here? Was it your choice? Or did someone force you to come?
Being here in the monastery is my dream come true. Being a monk is so exciting.
Well, no one's ever said that before. I'm curious if you'll still be singing the same tune in a month's time.
Would you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a novice and I'm here because I'd make a poor merchant. I like books and I want an education. Although I must say, so far the monastic life's been quite unexpected.
Let's go then.
Good. But before we do, here's a letter directly from the prior telling you all your regular duties from tomorrow onwards. Make sure to read it this evening so you know how things work. Right, we can go now. Follow me closely. I'll explain everything as we go. Remember one word: discipline. It's your job to work and pray. You serve the Lord now, not your own bodily needs. Salve Domine. This is the way to the dormitory, where we all sleep. You'll find a free bed there, which is now yours. Do you know the Used to.
Things will get worse. I can feel it in my joints.
The things you say.
My joints.
This is the
started
garden,
aching just
a
before
place
they
for
raised
silent
the start.
contemplation and
Now they
meditation.
hurt again, but worse than last time.
Centuries ago, this
Something
monastery
is
was
going to
founded by the
happen
most
out there.
esteemed of brothers, Saint Procopius. His earthly remains can be found in a cave under the monastery, and his spirit wanders the corridors at night, punishing any misbehaving novices. So beware. Here are the frattery and scriptorium, together with the library. These are the places where we work. Ora et labora. Pray and work. As a novice, you must always listen to your superior brethren, and above us monks are the prior and the cicatas. who punish every infraction. You'll know them by the canes they carry. Do what they say. This is the refectory, where we come together to eat. During meals, you must be silent. Only one brother reads aloud from the Rule of Saint Benedict.
The rule is the only law we recognize, with the exception of those from God himself. If you break any of its precepts, expect a swift punishment. But I've already told you about the circuitors. The library, the pride of our monastery, a trove of learning. We don't just read books here, we also copy them. You too will learn how.
And that's all. Today you are still free from duty, but tomorrow you begin work like the others. If you need anything, ask any of the brothers. We will be glad to help you. And I recommend you get to know the other novices. You already know me. Then there is Siskin, Yodok, and Lukas.
Thanks for showing me around. There's a lot to learn here. Will you tell me something about yourself?
There's not much to tell. I lived in Vlashim, and after my father died, I found out I wasn't much of a merchant. So I left the shop to my brother and decided to become a monk. It's peaceful here. There's food and lots of time to read.
So you chose to come here?
It may seem strange, but I'm one of the few novices that did. I might be the only one. The truth is, the idea of spending my life in a monastery was more appealing than being cooped up in a greasy old shop.
It occurred to me you might be the man to ask. I'm looking for some lockpicks. Do you know anyone in the monastery who could help me?
Lockpicks? You surprise me, brother. And you, a nobleman's son. But you could ask Brother Celerius. They say he used to be a thief.
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery. Who's in charge of things around here?
Truthfully, everyone except us. But officially, Abbot Peter. And soon enough, someone else. As if it mattered. Our life will still be work and prayer.
I see. Are there any rifts between the brothers?
Yes. From the moment talk began about electing a new abbot, it's been like a hornet's nest here. Strange you haven't noticed.
Tell me something about electing the abbot.
Abbot Peter is old. When he dies, they'll have to select a new abbot from amongst the brethren. The candidates are John and Nevlas. And if you ask me for my opinion, Nevlas is definitely the right man. Unfortunately, no one cares about my opinion because novices get no say.
Tell me something about life here.
Work, prayer, as if you didn't know. We serve God, and that's the central truth of our lives.
What are the roles of the various monks here?
Someone takes care of the library, someone else the garden. The abbot supervises everyone, and in his absence, the prior. But it's the circators you should worry about. They're the brothers who'll make sure we observe the rule. They can be quite strict, so if you want to avoid getting punished, always act righteously and do your duties honestly.
Who's in charge of things around here?
Truthfully, everyone except us. But officially, Abbot Peter. And soon enough, someone else. As if it mattered. Our life will still be work and prayer.
Are there already candidates to be the new abbot?
Brothers John and Nevlas. But the others have been fighting like dogs because of them. We don't have to fight about anything, though.
This John, who is he?
A circator, and really just an unpleasant old man. It's mostly the older brothers on his side, because they believe he'll protect the status quo and all the benefits that come with long service here.
Tell me something about Nevlas.
Nevlas manages the monastery's property. He's what they call the provost. He'd like to bring back solemnity to the monastery through reform and by returning to pure faith. A lovely idea, but most of the monks are against it.
Why can't novices vote?
They say we don't have enough experience to decide about anything. Don't worry, we'll get our chance.
Why is who wins so important?
We're young and we'll spend the rest of our lives here. And the abbot decides everything about our lives. Didn't it ever occur to you how powerful he is?
Who would you choose as the new abbot if you could?
Why should I even think about that when I don't have the right to vote? Gregor, don't go poking your nose into other people's business. You'll sleep better at night.
I think I'm going to cry. That touching, is it? Touching? More like infuriating. A horrible, abominable waste of parchment.
Aha, Gregor.
People have no
Talk
respect
to
for
me.
writing these days.
But they'll learn. We were no different.
I'm looking for something a little, unorthodox.
And what would that be exactly?
I'm looking for lockpicks.
Lock picks? And what would you like those for?
I'd like to practice opening locks, just for the fun of it.
Well, why not? So you heard I used to be a burglar, did you? I put it all behind me as soon as I took the vows. But I do have a few lockpicks left. I'll trade them for food. Get me a bite to eat, and you can have your lockpicks. Can't say fairer than that, can I?
Praise be to our Lord Jesus.
What have they done to you this time, brother?
I'm Gregor and I'm new here.
I know. I saw you in the church during the ceremony. I have a feeling we'll be meeting again soon, and often. You see, I'm a circator.
What does that mean?
I make sure everyone observes the rule, does their work, and that everything is the way it should be.
When it's not the way it should be?
Then we're authorized to mete out punishment. But certainly you won't require correction, will you, brother?
About you in the election, will you tell me more about it?
Ask me anything you want.
Tell me something about Nevlas.
Nevlas is weak and toothless. He's full of hot hair. How anyone could think he'd make a good abbot is beyond me. Enough. I don't even want to hear his name again.
I'd like to know what's going on here.
Well, the young brothers feel they don't have the same rights and responsibilities as we, who have spent much of our lives here. And what of it? Privilege needs to be earned. Nevertheless is lying when he says he wants to right wrongs. All he cares about are the benefits for himself and his cronies.
Then he'd soon get his man.
I'd like to help you if I can.
There is something you could do. I am convinced Nevlus must have done something that would greatly damage him if everyone found out. If he was preaching water and drinking wine, for example.
So I should dig something up on him and tell you about it?
Exactly. But I doubt you'll have any luck. Nevlus is too cunning and careful to give anything away.
Once I find something out, I'll tell you. Thank you for answering. What did you want me to do?
Dig up some dirt on Nevlus and tell me about it. If he's discredited in front of the others, he has no chance of even standing as a candidate.
I found this piece of parchment. It looks like it's been ripped out of a book.
I've no idea. Why don't you ask Brother Librarian?
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery. Who's in charge of things around here?
Oh, Abbot Peter is the administrator of the monastery, but you won't see him. He's always travelling on top of that, he's old and infirm. Perhaps the good Lord will bless him with many more years of life.
And what happens when the old abbot dies?
Well, then we elect a new one.
And the wine.
Tell me something about life here.
Prayer, work, obedience. That just about sums it up.
Can you tell me something about the rule of St. Benedict?
7 centuries ago, St. Benedict of Nursia wrote a collection of monastic rules, which we still follow today. They're read at every meal. The fundamental precepts are obedience, work, and prayer. We're fully devoted to serving God. The outside world, beyond the monastery walls, is foreign to us.
Do you never want to know what's going on out there?
And what should be going on? The sky is just as blue, the grass is just as green. Perhaps the ruler's changed, but the greatest ruler of them all will remain unchanged throughout the ages.
I'm interested in the monastery's history.
Well, it was founded by Saint Procopius 500 years ago. After his death, heretics occupied the place for some time. But then the order was restored and the brothers of the true faith returned.
Heretics, you say?
They wanted to worship God with some foreign rituals, in a language foreign to God. They were driven away, and their books burned.
Someone really reeked at Matins.
What are the roles of the various monks here?
Well, the abbot is the head, but he's not here now.
It's a mystery.
Then there's the prior, the sub-prior, the librarian, the porter, many others. As a novice, you should be particularly mindful of the cicatas. They're the ones who maintain discipline and punish bad behavior.
What can you tell me about the novices here?
And what can I say? You're here to demonstrate your devotion to God and to live a monastic life. After a year, you can make your vows and become a fully fledged brother.
I meant something specific about the brothers that are here.
But you know them yourself. Yorick is an odd one, but he's diligent and eager, perhaps too eager. Siskin is good company, but a bit too worldly for a monk. Antonius is hard-working and will help with anything, but prays less than he ought. Lucas is as quiet as a mouse, and no one knows much about him. And then we have you, about who I know nothing.
Can you leave the monastery?
Where would you go? You've everything you need here. Anyway, all the doors here are closed and locked tight, so no one can get in or out.
My name's Gregor, a novice.
You can call me Siskin. Now, are you here of your own free will, or is this a punishment? Although, it's not important. Welcome to Purgatory.
Did you say purgatory?
You'll see soon enough. Soon enough.
Will you tell me something about yourself?
Look, nothing against you, but I prefer not to talk about my past.
Are you hiding something? Why are you so reluctant to tell me anything about yourself?
I'm hiding a lousy past that I'd rather forget. I hate to think of all I lost when they stuck me in here. And also because I really hate the question, aren't you the son of the famed Sir Smil Flashka of Pardubitz? I was rich and I had everything. But then my father began to feel his time approaching, so he decided to send a son to the monastery. And, being the youngest, the lot fell on me. I've no head for managing the estate, and they said I'd squander it. Can you imagine? Me, in a monastery. So I took what coin I could from home with me, so I didn't lose out completely.
But you didn't have to come here if you didn't want to.
No, not if I didn't mind being left to beg alms by the city gate. I had one choice, the monastery or nothing. If it had come to that after my father's death, so be it. But to get rid of me while he's still alive...
They must have realized you robbed them.
I donated some of the silver to the monastery when I came in, just to piss them off. I can just see my brothers, my siblings, arguing with the abbot to give it back.
And you stashed away the remainder?
Indeed so.
What's your plan with this treasure?
To get out of here as soon as I can. I'll wait another year or two until my hot-headed brothers cool off a bit, and then I'll take the silver and run off somewhere, far, far away from here.
That's all I wanted to know.
Please, keep it to yourself. Especially the part about the coin.
I'm still curious about this treasure trove of yours.
It's no big, terrible secret. Really, it isn't. I just go and read during services. There's no time otherwise. At other times, I don't get to read what I like. And I keep it under the slab so the others don't find it.
I'll leave you be. Don't worry, I won't follow you again.
Thank you.
How is it that you don't get any penance for missing morning prayers?
I've paid off the circators to turn a blind eye. And the other monks don't notice as long as you show your face there from time to time. No one's too awake at that time of the morning.
I'd be interested to hear what you think about the other novices. Tell me about Antonius.
Oh, if there was a monk I'd recommend as a friend, with of course the exception of myself, it would be Antonius. He has a calm soul, he's easy to talk to, and you can always rely on him.
That's all. Thanks. Who would you elect, Abbot, if you could?
Most likely Nevlas. He's a fine fellow and he seems honest. But, truth be told, it doesn't matter much to me. A monastery will still be a monastery, no matter who's in charge. If you really want to talk more about it, ask Antonius. He seems to have taken an interest.
I'd like to ask... Well, that's all.
God be with you.
Today's food.
I'm Gregor, and
I know. I saw you at the ceremony. My name is Nebulus, and I'm the provost here. I'm in charge of the monastery's property, as well as handling trade with the outside world.
that means you get to leave the monastery.
No, not at all. I just write lists and send them out.
It's a wonder the prior doesn't check everyone's breath in the morning. Then he'd soon get his man.
God be with you.
Ah, Greg.
God be with you.
Praise be to Christ, brother.
That'll be soon solved.
I want change, and only a new abbot can bring that.
Waiting pays off.
Then he'd soon get his man.
That must have been Brother Sir Cato. He can't sleep in a place all
Today's food. What do they do in that kitchen?
I tell you, brother, these all-night revelries are beginning to tire me out.
It's left over.
The food's definitely gone downhill. I remember back when we ate like kings.
And the wine. Those were the days.
You'll see, things will get better with the new abbot.
This is not a good time for questions, brother.
brethren should be assigned a task or craft of such a nature as to keep them from idleness and at the same time not to overburden them or drive them away with excessive toil. Their weakness must be taken into consideration by the abbot. The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on daily manual labor. Idleness is the enemy of the soul. Therefore, the brethren should be occupied at certain times in manual labor, and again at fixed hours in sacred reading. To that end, we think that the times for each may be prescribed as follows. From Easter until the calends of October. When they come out from prime in the morning, let them labor at whatever is necessary until about the 4th hour. And from the 4th hour until about the 6th, let them apply themselves to reading. After the 6th hour, having left the table, let them rest on their beds in perfect silence, or if anyone may perhaps want to read, let him read to himself in such a way as not to disturb anyone else. Let none be said rather early, at the middle of the 8th hour, and let them again do what work has to be done until vespers. Weak or sickly brethren as to keep them from idleness and at the same time not to overburden them or drive them away with excessive toil. Their weakness must be taken into consideration by the abbot. The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on humility. The first degree of humility is obedience without delay. This is the virtue of those who hold nothing dearer to them than Christ, who, because of the holy service they are perfect, and the fear of hell and the glory of life everlasting, as soon as anything has been ordered by the superior, receive it as a divine command, and cannot suffer any delay in executing. But this very obedience will be acceptable to God and pleasing to men only if what is commanded is done without hesitation. Delay, lukewarmness, grumbling, or objection. For the obedience given to superiors is given to God. For if the disciple obeys with an ill will and murmurs, not necessarily with his lips but simply in his heart, then even though he fulfills the command, yet his work will not be acceptable to God, who sees that his heart is murmuring. And far from gaining a reward for such work as this, he will incur the punishment due to murmurers, unless he amend any satisfaction. The rule of Saint precepts by his actions for those of harder hearts and ruder minds. The abbot should always remember what he is and what he is called, and should know that to whom more is committed, from him more is required. Let him make no distinction
What troubles you?
between persons in the monastery. Let him not love one more than another, unless it be one whom he finds better.
Praise be to Christ, brother.
I'm here to work.
Excellent. I've been waiting for you. There's the alchemist's laboratory. You'll find ingredients in the chests next to it. Concoct 2 buck's blood potions. Once you finish them, you'll find me somewhere nearby. Don't forget to let me know when you're done so I can check them. What is it, brother?
Tell me about yourself.
I'm the provost of this monastery. It's my job to ensure the monks live a humble life and that any surpluses go to the poor. But in reality, I spend all my time making sure my brother's gluttony and the construction of a new church don't swallow up the few resources we have left.
I'm interested in the election of the new abbot.
You're not alone. Everyone's so worked up about that they spent no time considering how they could make the monastery a better place now.
Why? What's wrong with it now?
Many brothers think more about their stomachs than prayer. The older brethren bend the rules of the order to make them fit their interests. So, to balance the scales, they want the novices to lead exemplary lives. Sin abounds here, just as in the outside world.
What sins are you talking about?
The scripture says, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." I'm sorry, Gregor, it's not my place to speak about the sins of others.
Tell me something about how the new abbot will be elected.
A new abbot has to be elected once the old one dies. All the brethren can vote, with the exception of novices. The abbot's crozier will be conferred on whoever is chosen, and he'll take the vow. When he becomes abbot, a monk spends most of his time dealing with politics outside the monastery, instead of actually leading the monastery. But he still maintains a fundamental influence on life here.
Can you tell me about Abbot Peter?
Peter's wise in the ways of politics and a good shepherd, but as you've already heard, he's old and infirm. The other brothers see him with one foot in the grave, but I still have hope for him. But you, brother, don't let yourself get involved in the games of your superiors. Could you help me with something?
With what?
I'm interested in medicine, and I know there's a cure for the abbot's ailment. With your help, I could find out the details, and together you and I could give old Peter a few more years to do good. What do you say?
What do you need me for?
In order to get the recipe for this medicament, a few rules will need to be broken. Now you know most of the brothers believe every illness is a message from God, and that it's not our place to deny his will. I, however, think if God sent us not just illnesses, but also the medicine to cure them, then it's our duty to relieve people of their suffering. The cure for Abbot Peter's illness could be contained in one of the books in our library, but it will certainly be amongst the libri prohibiti, the forbidden books, those we aren't permitted to read.
Why are they forbidden?
Because they contain occult and demonic practices, witchcraft and all manner of evil. Or so some people claim. It's nonsense, of course. This is nothing but a book of medicine, albeit one written by a pagan. Ibn Sina, also known as Avicenna, is universally acknowledged to be a wise man. But here, at some point, someone decided his book is the work of a Saracen devil and must be kept under lock and key. Since then, no one can even talk about the book. But the three wise men were from the East, were they not?
Where can I find it?
In the library, there's a large cabinet with a lock on it. The forbidden books are inside. You'll easily recognize what you're looking for. The cover has not only a Latin inscription, but also Saracen letters. Bring it to me, but leave the other books there. No one will notice if one book disappears, but if more were to vanish, someone would certainly begin to look into it, which is exactly what we don't want.
Where can I find it?
In the library, there's a large cabinet with a lock on it. The forbidden books are inside. You'll easily recognize what you're looking for. The cover has not only a Latin inscription, but also Saracen letters. Bring it to me, but leave the other books there. No one will notice if one book disappears, but if more were to vanish, someone would certainly begin to look into it.
Is there anything you can tell me that would help?
There's a key to the cabinet in the prior's chambers. The librarian should have another one, or you can acquire some lockpicks. But I can't tell you where or how. Perhaps Brother Celerius could help.
Why can't you do it yourself?
Because I'm one of the highest-ranking monks here, and one day I'd like to become abbot. Can you imagine me crawling around in the black of night searching for a forbidden book?
You could just ask for it.
Do you honestly think I haven't tried? Unfortunately, Librarian Cyril is a stubborn ass.
I'm ready.
One more important thing. There's always someone in the library during the day. To pass unwatched, you'll need to go at night. It's locked, but I'm sure you'll manage to get in. They say Brother Solarius understands locks, but don't tell him why you need it. Once you have the book, bring it to me, and I'll then use it to make Peter's medicine. We'll soon have the election of the abbot over and done with.
Ah, this looks like the Saracen language.